This is the On to Mark Wrestling Podcast. Kick back and hang with your hosts, Quixote, Lewis, and Joel. Let's mark out.
Yo, 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 yo. You know what's up. You know what time it is. The three-man band is back in effect. You got your boy, Coyote, the producer, Joe Stradamus, which we got to talk about a little bit later on, and the one and only Lewis, the administrator, back in the house, fellas. What's going on with you? How y'all doing, fellas?
What's going on is Darby Allin! Darby Allin! Oh my God! Darby Allin is the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, climbing Mount Everest again!
Again, yes, man. Darby Allin winning. Yeah, give it up for Darby. Give it up for Darby. Darby Allin winning the AEW World Champion. Like, who knew? Who knew this was gonna? They kind of, like you said, Joe. They kind of telegraphed it a little bit. Yeah, it's. I was speechless. I kind of marked out for it. I was a little surprised. I was a little like the way it happened, where MJF kind of just got squashed. It just kind of all happened out of nowhere, but they telegraphed the hell out of it, though. They made it seem like, and here was the cherry on top, fellas. When Sting came out of the corner, we had gray-haired old man Sting come out of nowhere.
Love it.
And just kind of put the period at the end of the sentence. It was like, yo, this is it. This is Darby's time. Fellas, how do y'all feel about Darby Allin, new World Heavyweight Champion, and the way it all went down on AEW Dynamite? Joe, what you thinking? Joe Stradamus, let's start with you, bro, because you got to call this.
Man, so yeah, before the match happened, I hit up my two co-hosts here on the side, and I was like, guys, I have a feeling this world title match is gonna be a title change. And it's just because, like, when I started thinking about it, they were in Seattle today, which is Darby's hometown. They've been kind of like talking about this match throughout the whole episode of Dynamite. They had a bunch of video packages for Darby. They were showing Darby walking around his city, walking around his town, all these things. And they were talking about Darby climbing Mount Everest and all these things. So I'm like, okay, it seems like they're telegraphing it a little bit, but they could still swerve us. Maybe MJF just cheats at the end, you know, how he's been cheating this whole title run. But no, they went for it, man. They went for it. They did it. Darby Allin. This is a sentence I didn't think I was going to say this soon. Darby Allin is your new All Elite Wrestling World Champion. That is crazy. And honestly, I got to give it up to AEW, because this is the type of booking that you could kind of get away with when you're a fresh company. Like, we're only 7 years into AEW. They haven't really had a surprise win like this for their world title, like, ever. Yeah. So you kind of have to do these things to create the history and the lineage of the title. So, like, I'm sure there's going to be fans that are upset that it was a squash, but it's almost like it's a story in itself that we've gotten a title change on a weekly television show. And it's the week of WrestleMania. So not only are they stealing headlines from WWE this week, they're also getting themselves out there to be like, hey, if you guys are watching wrestling and missing wrestling and you're not happy with that show that's the big dog in town, guess what? We got these fun things happening every Wednesday. Tune in. I wouldn't be surprised if they pop a high rating for this episode based on this talk. I wouldn't be surprised if people go back and watch this episode on HBO Max based on this. So, like, Tony Khan, I got to give it up to him. He knows what he's doing. He's a businessman at the end of the day. And I think we're going to hear some good touts about numbers based on whatever this episode does. So shout out to AEW. I do like the storyline of the headlock takeover being the move that Darby and MJF just constantly beat each other with. So that's cool that they kind of just kept that through line going through with their story. So, and I'm sure we're going to get the MJF winning the title back sooner rather than later. But for now, it's a nice win. It's almost like a Mick Foley style. Get that title win just to get it on the books that Darby has been a world champion. And now we move on and see what happens. But I'm excited.
The administrator, man, it was a surprise to all of us. What was your thoughts on Darby gaining the strap on Dynamite tonight, bro?
I was legitimately shocked. I was messaging y'all before we got on to record this episode tonight that I don't know how I feel about Darby being the world champion in a long-term sense. I don't see him as a long-term champion, and that has more to do with like my old school-ish mentality when it comes to stature and physique, as far as like who should be your world champion. But it's a different day and age, and this almost reminds me of like when Bryan Danielson won the title, Rey Mysterio when he did it 20 years ago actually. So Darby Allin, he's been one of the pillars of AEW since the company's inception, and Darby Allin has his critics, and the criticisms aren't without merit, right? Like he's a stunt monkey. He was a one-trick pony when it comes to working matches. He takes like these overly dangerous risks in his matches, but my goodness, like this is a man who has rode or died for this company through and through, has put his body on the line, like Mick Foley-esque. You know what I mean? So it's very well deserving. I think it was really abrupt, but I like the abruptness. I really do. I love it, actually. And I thought it was very well booked and executed because, all the haters are going to come out the woodwork. Oh, so you mean to tell me MJF has all of these amazing title defenses but loses to Darby Allin in like 60 seconds? Yes, sometimes you can do that in pro wrestling. It's a hit on what Joe was saying before, that when you swing for the fences like this creates buzz. And it's not like they just put the strap on anybody, quote unquote. They put it on Darby Allin, a day one wrestler in the company. And Darby is he's very endeared with the crowd. And and what the cherry on top was that it was in his hometown. So, like y'all said before, they were almost like throwing it in our faces the whole program. Like I didn't see Dynamite up until the main event. But I went back and saw some clips, and like they just were building it up to be Darby's night. So then when Joe was telling us earlier, you know what? I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna put the title on Darby tonight. I was like, you know what? You might be onto something, and lo and behold. So congratulations to Darby Allin. I think this is good for wrestling as a whole this week, for the wrestling industry, because WrestleMania week it's the biggest week or weekend in all of pro wrestling.
Yes.
But people seem to think that it's only about WrestleMania. It's only about WWE. No, because WrestleMania attracts all types of fans from all over the globe. And that's why you get indie companies that book shows around that,
great point.
around that week. So then when you have Dynamite doing something like this, a world title change right before WrestleMania, that's great, because now you got something extra for people to buzz about heading into WrestleMania week.
Yeah.
So I love the decision. I don't see Darby Allin being a long-term champ. But yeah, props to him. Darby is one of those motherfuckers that over the last 12 months, I've got to experience some surprise moments in person with him.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So him coming out the fucking rafters at Globe Life Stadium, coming out the ring, Collision. Darby's my guy, man. I like Darby.
A good point that you brought up too is this almost, and I might be being a little hyperbolic here, but this reminds me a lot of when they put the title on Mick Foley during the Monday Night Wars, right? And we all know the famous Tony Schiavone talking about how they put you wouldn't guess who they put the title on, and people ended up switching over to see, right? And obviously it's not the same because we don't have there's no WWE television on Wednesdays. But what if the thought process here is everybody in that arena on Saturday and stadium on Saturday and Sunday in Vegas? What if the fans are buzzing and talking? Yo, can you believe that AEW put Darby Allin as their world champion? Even if they're shit talking it, they're gonna want to tune in next week to see the fallout of what happens with Darby Allin. So this is a really smart move, and I know maybe I'm thinking a little too business wise, but I could see it being something like, hey, this is WrestleMania week. Let's get the first headline of the week. Let's get the first headline so that we're the bookend. No matter what happens at WrestleMania, we started the week hot. We made it about us. It's a really smart move in my opinion.
I mean, definitely a smart move. Definitely a smart move by AEW for sure to get the biggest headlines on the start of the week for Mania week, right? But here's the thing, though, and you guys explained it well, where sometimes in situations you're going to have a quick squash match. It's just going to be what it is. But what do we say to those who are questioning MJF and Kenny going to the max on Dynasty? I mean, and then now on Dynamite, he gets squashed by Darby. Is there a valid argument there, or are we kind of looking at this as a headline stealer, a fan, getting the crowd a feel good show for the hometown of Darby Allin? Do we look at it that way, or do the people who are going to have some questions about this actually have a valid question about this? What do you guys think?
Listen, there's always going to be those people that think that they know the business in and out, as if they are actual pro wrestlers themselves or they're on the creative team. At the end of the day, wrestling is supposed to be fun. You are a consumer. You are a fan. It's supposed to be fun. Not everything has to be dissected and analyzed hyper focused on a specific thing. Yes, I can see that argument because MJF and Kenny Omega went 30 minutes or whatever it was, and near fall after near fall, they're beating the shit out of each other, and all for MJF to lose the way he did. But the counter argument to that is, this is just my opinion, it's two things. One, MJF is probably still recovering, so to speak, from such an epic battle earlier this week, and he might have gone into this title match overconfident because he's had Darby Allin's number in the past. The second thing is Darby beat him at his own game, which is the cheating antics that got MJF all these wins and all these successful title defenses over the last few months. Using the Dynamite ring, using the ropes, pulling the tights. Darby low blowed him, hit him in the balls. All right. he did not play clean. So I don't care how tough you are. You get hit in the balls and you're down and out. That's it. And he didn't just receive one coffin drop, not two. It was fucking 4. So that's my counter argument right there.
Yeah. And another thing too is it's all within the storyline, because if you didn't get to watch the whole Dynamite, Lewis, but they started off with MJF being interviewed by Renee and MJF not knowing that he had a title match tonight because he was so enthralled with the fact that he beat Kenny Omega. He hasn't spoken to Tony Khan. He was talking about it, all this stuff. So it was a surprise match for him. Then we had the match was supposed to start the night. They had a promo battle. MJF said, "Nah, I'm not wrestling. I just went an hour with Kenny Omega. I'm still recovering, blah, blah, blah." And then Tony Khan, through Bryan Danielson, said, "Hey, the match is going on. It's the main event tonight."
Yep.
So we have the out of MJF being like, "I'm not ready. I wasn't ready for this." So obviously the story's not over. Obviously fans are going to go crazy and react, but The story's not over. It's all within storyline. It all makes sense. And at the end of the day, if MJF gets the title back in a month, are we really gonna care that this happened? No, it's just a great moment. Like you said, it's fun, and it's fun. That's the most important part. It's fun.
Yeah.
Fellas, I'm curious to see what happens with this Darby thing. I wonder what we're gonna get at Double or Nothing. How this is gonna all get.
And we're gonna be in attendance.
That, at which we will be in attendance. All 3 On the Mark members will be in attendance at Double or Nothing. Hit your boys up if you want to meet up.
Let's go.
Get a little interview going or whatnot. But fellas, I want to shift gears real quick. We got to shift a little bit, and I got to go to we had Sunday. First off, we had a fantastic pay-per-view once again by the great AEW. And tonight, fellas, we're doing a little quick Dynasty recap because we can't continue the show or go on with the show until we just give our quick thoughts about this amazing pay-per-view once again by AEW. Not quite Revolution, but damn good from top to bottom, match for match. Everything had its story. Everything had its high stakes. Everything meant something. The Jericho and Ricochet of it all, even that match, there was stuff going on that later on revealed itself in terms of maybe continuing this program on Dynamite. They kind of said, all right, let's run it back possibly. Fellas, I personally thought it was great. It was a great pay-per-view. But my only complaint is probably the one complaint we all have is, man, I would love for a Sunday where the PLE ends at 11. Start that bad boy at like 5. I don't. My God, man, I had to go to sleep. I had to miss the main event because I was too tired. I was knocked out. I couldn't do it. That's my only complaint. Is these pay-per-views are so long, but they're not bad long. They're just so long where it's like, okay, it's a Sunday. I got to get up for work on the grind again. I can't function that way, Tony. But that was my only complaint. Other than that, solid match. I think one of the surprises the shockers was Andrade. That Andrade match was very good. He works. I mean, he's a really good worker. Say whatever you want about Andrade or whatever, but he's great. I think that was one of the surprise matches of the night. Fellas, where are you at with the with Dynasty on the quick recap? Lewis, did you see much of it? Do you have a favorite or anything?
Yeah, I missed the first hour, but I caught everything else after that, and it was great, man. I'm mad that I missed the Young Bucks tag match. Y'all were saying during that first hour how much of an instant classic banger it was, but yeah, I caught everything else, and there wasn't one match that I didn't enjoy. Tekla and Jamie Hayter put on a good match. Cope and Christian versus FTR that had me on the edge of my seat. And it's nice to see Cope in this role because I'm such a big fan of his. The main event was a banger. It went longer than I expected, but not in a bad way. But I wasn't expecting it to be like such an epic battle. And Kenny Omega looked like $1 million. But the match of the night was Will Ospreay versus John Moxley. Terrific stuff. And the most shocking moment of the night, arguably, was Will Ospreay eating the pin. I was like, holy shit. I would have thought that they would have had Ospreay win to keep him hot for the near future. But that I think that's the beauty behind AEW events, where they'll sprinkle in a little bit of unpredictability. So, not everything is so clear cut and you can't foresee everything as much as you think. So I thought Dynasty was a great pay-per-view. I unfortunately didn't get to see Revolution. I only saw the highlights and read all the recaps and stuff. So it didn't seem like it was quite as good as Revolution, but AEW is setting the bar ridiculously high for these pay-per-views.
Damn
Like,
high.
how can
Yeah.
you fucking top the last one? It's like
Yep.
you gotta, I don't know, man. How do you keep the momentum going? But yeah, it was very enjoyable, and obviously we had a good follow-up tonight on Dynamite.
Yeah, man. I gotta agree with you, Lewis. Like the quality of pay-per-view that AEW this run, I don't remember a bad pay-per-view. Like I can't like in their whole like almost I would say in their whole existence of like, like there hasn't been a bad pay-per-view. Like obviously there's some that are better than the others, but when they have a pay-per-view event, they put out an incredible show for the fans. So for me, my favorite match was probably the Young Bucks versus Okada and Takeshita. It was a great match, and the story progressed between Takeshita and Okada, and the eventual match that they'll be having, hopefully at Double or Nothing, where we'll be in attendance. That'll be a great match to see live. And I do think the Mox and Ospreay match was incredible as well, man. And I love the story they're telling with Ospreay, where it's almost like he's too stupid for his own good. Like like he's obviously, he just had a double fusion neck surgery,
right?
And he's trying to wrestle like nothing happened. And I think that's the story they're telling, where he's still trying to be the same Ospreay. And Mox is even saying it, like, you're gonna beat yourself in this match, because I don't even have to beat you. You're gonna beat yourself. And that's what we saw. Like he had the match started with him hitting the hidden blade. He could have pinned Moxley right away. Instead, he was like, "No, I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna throw on another banger for another 20 minutes." And that's what got him at the end of the day. He got hit with like, I don't even know how many freaking Death Riders and paradigm shifts and all that, all targeting the neck. It's just a great story. And I know I saw a lot of fans talking about like Ospreay doesn't sell, but Ospreay constantly sells. It's just I think we've been indoctrinated by the way WWE tells stories, where it's like you have to sell by like being knocked out for like 20 minutes, but no, he sells constantly. It's just
Ospreay does sell.
Yeah, it's just a matter of it's a fighting spirit style, where like he'll hit a move and then collapse afterwards. But like you're still selling, and Kenny Omega does the same thing. You're selling the move, but you still have that last bit of energy to hit a last second move before you collapse, which I enjoy that style of wrestling. So I gotta say that match was great. And like Quixote, like you said, Andrade and Darby Allin put on a banger, and it was a great styles clash between Andrade, who's very smooth in the ring, and Darby, who's like reckless, and they still put on like a really good match against each other. And
real good chemistry between those two.
For sure. And it led right into the Dynamite this week. So great storytelling by AEW all around.
Great storytelling by AEW. Man,
wait, what did you say, Joel? Great what from AEW?
Hey,
exactly.
Hey man, there's a company that tells stories, and then there's a company that relies on Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. That's all I gotta say.
Shots fired. Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
I need that. I need that sound effect. I need gunshot fire, man. That and that brings me to. Thank you, Joel, for the
perfect segue.
Great segue, my friend. That takes us into WrestleMania week, baby. This is WrestleMania week. Biggest week in pro wrestling. Lewis and I were able to enjoy a full gambit of wrestling and wrestling events. We were all over California, just enjoying everything, man. And this week they were running it back in none other than Las Vegas. Fellas, it's 2 nights, of course, and night 1 has 7 matches, night 2 6. I'm pretty shocked. Got to start this off right now. I'm pretty shocked that we're not getting an Asuka and Io Sky match. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm a little disappointed to be honest. I think that story has a lot of juice behind it. And it would be a great way to wrap it all up on your biggest stage, and we're not gonna get that, fellas. Night 1, and let's just run through this. Night 1 I'm going to pull it up for you guys as a reference. Night one, we got. Let's take a look. We got. So night one, we got Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Uh, and I Show Speed versus the Usos and LA Knight. As you can see, fellas, we got both night cards up as we speak. Thank you, CBS Sports. Fella, I'm just curious about what you guys are thinking right now of the card, the build, which is practically over. I mean, we got Friday's go home show. But what's your thoughts on night one? Let's go night one first. Lou, any thoughts, any standouts, any possible bangers? What you thinking, man?
Well, night one is on paper. I think I'm looking forward to night one more than night two on paper, because Seth Rollins and Gunther, they're gonna put on a great match. Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan, that's hot. That is a hot match right there. Jacob and Drew unsanctioned, that's gonna be a banger. So yeah, like those three matches are really the meat of night one. Cody and Randy just fell off the rails with this whole Pat McAfee thing. So I could care less about whatever the fuck they do in that main event. At this point, like, you're gonna keep the title on Cody, keep it on him. You're gonna I don't know. I'm not really too invested anymore.
Disappointing
after what transpired over the last 2 weeks in that main event. And it's not to say that I'm not going to watch the match. Obviously, I am, but I'm just not as invested as I would have been a few weeks back had they just kept the story simple and straightforward without all this other extraneous nonsense.
Yes, agreed. I gotta tell you, man. Apparently, the rumor is Jelly Roll will be in the corner of Cody Rhodes. And
of course,
Pat McAfee will be in the corner of Randy Orton, which now takes a whole different turn for this match. It's going to be interference. It's going to be Jelly Roll punching Pat McAfee. It's now going to turn into a tag team match at Backlash, which is my prediction, which is probably what everybody else is thinking. This was such a disappointment. You got 20 years plus of history that you could have pulled from. Randy Orton punted the great Dusty Rhodes, baby. Punted him in the head. We didn't even touch that. Didn't even go close to telling that story. Didn't go close to telling any of the story of I mean, if you want to mention Ted DiBiase Jr., I mean, you could, right? I mean, it's just nothing creative. It started off interesting and then just kind of went off the rails, man. Joel, where you at with this card, bro?
Man. Night one, I would say, the highlights would be Seth Rollins and Gunther. I think they're going to have a great match. I am really looking forward to Stephanie versus Liv. I think that has been quietly one of the hottest feuds. And I mentioned it on a previous episode, but they have been given very little time, but they have made the most out of that little time. Every time they're brawling backstage, they are beating the crap out of each other. They definitely have had a conversation where it's like, hit me as hard as you can. Let's make this shit look good for TV. And they do not care. So good on them. And I think that match is going to be really good. And like Lewis said, Jacob, Fatu, and Drew, I think they potentially might steal the show on that night one, because they're gonna go crazy, and I think they both have a lot to prove, especially Drew, since he was just the WWE champion recently, so he might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder when it comes to not being in the main event. So when it comes to that, great. But the saddest thing, and I think what we all touched upon, that main event, man, we don't even feel anything about it anymore, and I think that's the disservice that they did to the fans. Like, you could hate the build, you could love the build, but when the fans don't care, I think that's not a good sign. And I think that's where a lot of fans are feeling right now. Like, I do not care about Pat McAfee. I do not care about Jelly Roll. I'm sure they're fine people in their own right. I'm sure they're fine people and they're fine family people or whatever the hell they are. But
Yeah.
in WWE, in pro wrestling, I do not want to see these guys involved in the main event of WrestleMania when you have this history between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And it's really a simple story to tell, man. And I just don't know why they do this to Cody Rhodes every single year since he's won the title. They give him a random celebrity involvement. Last year was Travis Scott. This year's Jelly Roll. Like, I don't know why they do this. I don't understand it. I don't know if they maybe they have some internal numbers that it proves right for them and it makes money for them. But man, you are hurting the overall story of your television product with this inclusion of these celebrities everywhere, left and right. But it is what it is. We're gonna see what happens on Saturday night, and hopefully Sunday will be better.
We'll see, man. You're right, Joe. I didn't even think about the Cody stuff with placing him with some random star and it just being a disaster. I don't get it.
It didn't work last year at all. I don't know why they're doubling down this year.
Last year should have been a clear example of what not to do with celebrities.
Did y'all see? I can't remember for the life of me. Cody had an interview. I don't remember whose platform it was, whose podcast, but he even came on and said that the Pat McAfee, his inclusion has been the worst received angle in the history of wrestling. Like the WWE champion is saying that.
Yeah.
So now it's getting even more meta and more. It's bizarre. Like, what is this? Kayfabe? Like, are you talking from a real life standpoint?
Did you guys?
Like, why would you say that?
Yeah. Did you see that?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't understand WWE's like booking logic, creative decision. I don't understand any of it anymore.
Nothing makes sense. Yeah.
Like, why? I'm just looking at this clip and I'm like, why?
Yeah. And today they shot an angle where Cody broke into Pat McAfee's studio and got his title back. I'm like, what are we doing, guys? What do you like? I get that that WrestleMania is on ESPN and you're trying to get people to download this damn app that nobody's downloading. Nobody's paying $30 a month for ESPN Unlimited. Nobody even knows the name. People still call it ESPN Plus.
Right.
They've done a terrible job at marketing this thing. And I guess that's why they're doing like all this ESPN inclusion with Pat McAfee, and there was rumors of Stephen A. Smith might have been rumored to be involved. So it's like, what are we doing, guys? Like, we gotta stop. We jumped the shark. Like, it's over.
Definitely jumped the shark. Damn. Well, we'll see, man. On paper, the matches look solid in terms of like should be okay. The best wrestling match will be Seth and Gunther by far. That's going to be probably better than all of us are expecting, but we know they can go unless they just have no chemistry and we're not going to get anything from that match. I highly doubt it, though. They're both great. But moving on to night 2, 6 matches. Again, great on paper. Oba, Femi, and Brock is going to be in the first free hour on ESPN. By far the most exciting, the most built up, the most anticipated match on this entire 2 nights, including the heavyweight championship matches. They have done an amazing job telling this. They have made both guys very interesting in their characters. Oba cut a career-defining promo. Brock is selling everything Oba is giving him. You could tell Brock is into this because I think Brock is going to make this kid, and I think he's going to be great. I think it's going to be an entertaining match. Should it go past 5 minutes? I'd like to see it go 10-ish. I'm not mad at 10. Will it go 10? Probably not. But it would be cool if they did, right? To let's see something come from this, right? I don't want to see a 5-minute quick squash. But knowing WWE and their formula, they'll probably give us that.
Yeah.
Out of all the matches, though, I mean, it's Oba. The Intercontinental title will be fun. I want to see Trick get his. I'm going to say right now, fellas, on this podcast, I don't want to see Sami Zayn ever again. If he's, I'm done with Sami Zayn, bro. Sammy's boring. The same shtick of I just want to win the big one. I just want to win the big one, guys. Like it's corny. It's whack. We get
impromptu hater club segment right here.
Yeah, this was an improv. Yeah, I just don't want to see Sammy again. I don't want to see Sammy anywhere near a title picture or anywhere being he should be putting guys over. And hopefully this is it with Trick Williams. Finn Balor, we might get the Demon apparently, which will be interesting. And then you got the Punk and Roman of it all, which is going to be okay, I guess. I just there's nothing on this that I'm really excited about other than Oba and Brock. Joe Stradamus, where you at with night 2, bro?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Oba Brock match. I do have the Joe Stradamus prediction that I've said a couple weeks back that I think Oba will be seeing the lights during this match. I still haven't changed. I think Oba Oba's gonna lose just because I feel like it will be a career defining match, and I think Oba will look really good. But I think this story is not over yet. I think they're gonna go a couple, especially once we see these two together. We're gonna want to see more than one match between these two. So I think you give them this match, and then maybe they main event a pay-per-view down the road, straight up, no title, just them two going at it. Hell yeah, I'm tuning in for that. So I see something like that happening. I am actually quietly, I've gotten excited for Roman versus Punk. I wasn't there a couple weeks back, but now I'm like, you know what? I think these two could potentially put an all-time banger of a WrestleMania match. All the pieces are there. I feel like they work the perfect type of style for WrestleMania, where it's like they could like almost like a Rock Austin, like not to be blasphemous, but they're gonna brawl more than they're gonna actually do moves. They're gonna just beat the crap out of each other. They're gonna be slow paced. I think we're gonna all walk away from the weekend being like, damn, that was a really good match and potentially an all-time a great WrestleMania match. So, and I think they both have a lot to prove because a lot of people have been talking shit about the build to WrestleMania this year. So, and they're main eventing the last night of WrestleMania. So I think CM Punk has a lot to prove. I think Roman Reigns has a lot to prove. So I could see that match being pretty good. And then Sammy and Trick, another Joe Stradamus prediction right here. You heard it here first. I believe we'll get a double turn here. I think we're gonna get Trick Williams turning babyface by the end of this match and a full-on Sami Zayn heel. And don't be surprised if Sami Zayn walks away with that title. But with some heelish tactics. That's what I predict.
I can see that.
Now that you said that, Joe Stradamus, you've proven right on a lot of occasions, and this might be one of them again. Damn, Lou, we administrative. What are you thinking, man?
Night 2 is not as interesting on paper, but I'm kind of with Joel. I'm interested in Punk versus Roman. I'm far more invested in that storyline than the WWE Championship match from night 1. That's for sure. And I think Punk and Roman were going through like the ebbs and flows early on with building this feud. I was critical of it 1 week. Then the following 2 weeks, they redeemed themselves. Great promos from Punk and, of course, that pipe bomb in Houston. But I think Joel, that was a perfect analogy. And not to say that we're really comparing it to Rock and Austin, right? Like, we're not really comparing it to them. But, like, that style of match where it's more of a brawl with some storytelling. And, look, we said this on the podcast about 2 months ago when the match was first announced, that this isn't going to be a wrestling clinic of a match. It's just going to be very story based, with some psychology here and there. So the story is that Roman is trying to outdo Punk and prove why he's better than him while becoming world champion in the process. Punk is trying to prove why he's still the best in the world and can do what he does best in his first main event, one-on-one main event at WrestleMania. And this is the proper main event. You know what I mean? Not like a night one situation, which technically still counts as you main eventing WrestleMania, but this is like the closing of the entire event. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot at stake. I still think Dwayne shows up. I know. I'm not getting my hopes up per se, but I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm having a little Joe Shadamas moment here. I'm just throwing it out there. I think Dwayne gets involved. I really do.
What's the percentage, Lou? Where you at? Where you at with it? That Dwayne
50. I say there's a 50% chance. That's why I'm not like. Am I going to be disappointed if The Rock doesn't show up? No, because if it turns out to be a good match, and it's a good match, you know, I'm not going to live and die on. Last year was different. Again, I mentioned this previously on an episode. Last year was different because the expectation was that The Rock was going to be involved in the main event because of the John Cena heel turn, because he facilitated that. This year, we haven't seen Rock on television, so that's why I'm like, 50-50. You know, he shows up, he doesn't, he doesn't. But the ladder match will be fun.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole hodgepodge of wrestlers having a ladder match just for the sake of having one, but it should be a fun match. Brock and Oba is going to be great, but everything else is just meh. Like, I'm disappointed that Carmelo Hayes is not in that U.S. title match. I don't know why they didn't just make it a three-way. Like, you know, does he not get a rematch after losing the title? Anyway, whatever.
Man, Carmelo's been getting just annihilated on that main. I knew this was. I think on one of the episodes when we were talking about call-ups, I think I blatantly said Carmelo's going to get lost in that shuffle. They'll probably throw him a belt. He ain't going to hold it long, and he's just going to be in purgatory the entire time. Like, he's going to be tasted the different foods and catering, and then one minute he'll win a title, then he'll go back to catering and tasting more food. Like, it's just kind of like they don't know what to do with him. They have no idea what to do with him.
I could see him kind of, maybe, I don't know if I'm being a little, I don't know, but maybe he gets involved during that match.
Maybe.
Because they they telegraphed it a little too much of being like, I should be in the match. Like, I don't know. Unless they really just, like Keone said, they don't know what the hell to do with him, which would be a travesty because he's an incredible talent.
Exactly. Fellas, man, this is Mania week. We are just a few days away to seeing how this all comes together, because the build was a little sketch. It was like a little underwhelming. Now getting to it, we're here, fellas. This is the wrestling community's Super Bowl of it all, the granddaddy of them all, baby. And we're gonna see what happens with this card and this show. Fellas, any last words before we leave the people?
Well, everyone enjoy WrestleMania week. You know, it's wrestling. Have fun, and those of you in attendance, have fun. You know, be safe. All the content and podcast folks that are going to be out there. I look forward to seeing your recaps, your perspective videos and takes and all of that. It should be a fun weekend overall. I mean, it's already off to a hot start. So, yeah. Anyway, everyone be safe.
Yeah, man. Just keep your eye on the YouTube channel. We'll be dropping some content throughout the week. Some live reactions to WrestleMania and all that. So just keep your eye and stay tuned for more content from the On The Mark boys.
Yes, sir. Listen, y'all, thank you for joining us. Until next time. Peace.
You have just listened to the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at OnDeMark Wrestling. And email us on ondemarkpodcast@gmail.com.